Hi folks, my name is Willy Goldsmith. I'm a PhD student at the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, and my PhD research focuses on the recreational bluefin tuna fishery from Maine down to North Carolina. So the purpose of this portion of my PhD research was really to look at the post-release survival of bluefin tuna that are caught and released using light tackle in the recreational fishery. Folks who are casting plugs with treble hooks or soft plastic lures at these surface feeding bluefin tuna in the small, medium, and large school size classes, so anywhere from 47 to 73 inches. It's about a 50+ inch fish. We're going to put a satellite tag in it and follow its movements for 30 days. Great, 53 inches. We're going to pop the satellite tag in. Over the course of the study, I deployed a total of 22 pop-up satellite tags on these bluefin tuna. These tags were scheduled to stay on the fish for 30 days before popping off the fish, floating to the surface, and then transmitting their data via satellite where I could retrieve it on the internet and see whether or not these fish survived, as well as to understand a little bit about their movements. I conducted this fieldwork during 2015 and 2016, fishing both down off the Outer Banks of North Carolina, as well as in the vicinity of Cape Cod here in Massachusetts.
Come up, they're gonna come up, they're gonna come up, they're gonna come up. Look at that bait popping.
Last August, I joined Captain Mike Hogan of Salty Cape and Captain Sean Ruge to fish for slow cruising, surface feeding bluefin tuna south of Martha's Vineyard.
This is awesome. Look at these fish. Man, I love this. Nice shot. Willie just led those fish perfectly. He's just gonna retrieve it. Yeah, nice, nice fish. Willie's hooked up.
Heading out toward the bow. We had a great day sight fishing for those fish with soft plastic lures. We were able to catch 3 bluefin tuna, and we deployed 2 satellite tags on 50-inch class fish.
2 tags.
Just improved my sample size by 20%.
Nice. 2 tags. Man, I love fishing.
From that data, I could then see whether or not those fish survived, as well as where they moved after we tagged them. Of the 2 fish we tagged that day, one of them ended up getting eaten by a mako shark after about 3 weeks. I know that from the data because what was transmitted showed that the tag suddenly went into darkness, and also the temperature became elevated above the ambient temperature. And that tells me that the tag was inside the stomach of some sort of partially warm-blooded or endothermic shark. Probably a mako shark, but it could have also been a great white. So that was pretty surprising. That was actually the only fish that I had that did not survive after capture in this entire study. One thing we need to think about though is when a fish dies after 3 weeks from a predation event, is that something that's due to the fish having been caught beforehand, or is that maybe just due to it being an unlucky fish? Typically in these kinds of post-release mortality studies, most of the fish that die from fishing do so in the first day or 2 after release. And this fish was alive for about 3 weeks before it got eaten. And so I would be inclined to say that this fish was what we would call a natural mortality, that its death was not due to having been caught and released, but we can't exclude the fact that maybe this fish was sort of off its game or less able to evade predation because of the stress of having been caught and released a few weeks before. The other tag we deployed that day, also on a 50-inch fish, unfortunately never transmitted its data. That is something that happens sometimes when you're using this kind of technology. There are a lot of factors that can lead to tag failure, and unfortunately we only did get data back from one of the 2 tags that we deployed. Of the 22 tags that I deployed, I got data back from 16 of them. The results were really encouraging. Of those 16 tags, the data from 15 of them show that the fish survived after deployment, which is really great news. It shows that at least for those 16 fish, there's high survivability in the fishery, at least from what we saw here. So the bottom line is it does look like catch and release is viable for the light tackle fishery for these large school and small medium-sized fish. It's encouraging to see that. There are obviously different factors that may contribute to a fish's ability to survive or not. So if I were to recommend 3 best practices for recreational fishermen to maximize the survivability of bluefin tuna caught using artificial lures on light tackle, I'd recommend first off that anglers keep the fish in the water during the unhooking and revival process. Second off, that they use a lip gap to keep those fish secure boat side while taking the hooks out. And third off, that they use single hooks instead of treble hooks to minimize physical damage and handling time to the fish.
Oh, I'm bit!
Nice, Willie.
So it was really great to be able to join the Salty Cape crew last August and be able to cash in on that hot bluefin bite south of Martha's Vineyard. It was pretty exciting stuff. We saw acres of fish every day, these 50-inch fish slowly cruising under the surface, and they kind of looked like they wouldn't bite, and then we would throw lures into them, and sure enough, they would turn on.
We've got color here, Mike.
It was pretty exciting as a recreational fisherman myself. Really makes this work worth doing to be able to observe that kind of activity, and it's really encouraging to see the large numbers of those juvenile fish swimming around south of the vineyard, and hopefully it's a good sign of things to come. We'll continue to see more fish showing up every year, and we'll hopefully be able to continue to catch and release them as we've been doing.